Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for September 28th, 2021. May I have a roll call, please?
Television. As well as Richard Bowen, the town. Mr. Not here this evening as he is with his wife who had some surgery today. Heard it all went well, and I wish the whole family great happiness and so on now that they've seemed like they're getting through this problem.
Thank you. Excuse me. Mr. Slavin, I'll ask you to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Okay. I apologize if it's a little hoarse. After my surgery last Tuesday, the incubation has affected my vocal cords as usual. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
Of the
United
United
States of
States of
America,
America,
and
to
to
the
the
republic
for which it
which
stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and justice for all.
I'm getting a note from someone that says we're not televising. Supposedly.
Okay. Announcements. Mr. Muniz.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tropion, Mr. Titlebaum.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to wait until the TV's on. I haven't received any text from
I
anybody
haven't
saying
received
it,
any text that it's not being broadcast.
but I can, if you want to wait 1 second, I can check and confirm.
Okay.
Not on my TV.
It's not.
Oh, well,
As of right now.
okay.
I'll go
Just
back and check.
I got this earlier from Mr. Ruiz. Just a heads up, meeting will be broadcast on public channel tonight and the texts are coming tomorrow morning. So that should help.
No, was that 29?
29.
Nothing on 29.
Depends on whether you use Comcast or,
Verizon 29 is no.
hold on, please.
It's okay.
Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes?
I haven't gotten any notification that we're not being broadcast.
I have,
Okay,
and Alan seems to confirm it too, so I think we need to let WCTV figure this out.
okay. May I ask you to mute all of yourselves while this gets done? Thank you. We are being broadcast on channel 30. Channel 30. Mr. Muniz, we're all going to be muted until we get all live, please, sir.
Oh, I'm hearing you talking, so I didn't think you were muted.
Judy 30 is working.
Yeah, 9 is working on Comcast. But people, WCTV, if they can get a banner up on the usual
29.
channels.
Yeah,
the 29 and 95, to direct them to go to the correct channels. That would be very helpful.
Can you hear me? Yeah, we can't put anything on those channels because they're dead.
Okay,
All right, we've been running notices all afternoon about it in between shows. But that's the best we can do. It just died this afternoon.
so what you're telling me is what we have is what we have. So channel 9 and channel 30, am I
That's-
correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. We will proceed. Gentlemen, will you unmute yourselves, please?
I'm back.
Thank you. Mr.
Where were we?
Titlebaum?
Announcements? Yeah.
Yes, we're in announcements, and I think I was with you, sir.
Yeah, let's see, just by way of information from the annual town meeting, we sent some bylaws up to the Attorney General for review and approval. Most of them came back approved. One was held off. The ones that were approved were the sign zoning bylaw amendment, the definition of a two-family or duplex dwelling, setbacks for marijuana testing labs from schools, the nip ban went through, sale of nip bottles. The petition article from Mrs. Ekstrom regarding affordable housing, the local initiative petition, the states took a 60-day extension on that, and their answer is due by the 25th of November. On the special town meeting side, the marijuana delivery operators bylaw was a yes. Update to the FEMA floodplain bylaws, yes. Wetland bylaw amendment, this was the Wareham Village 1 exception to the buffer zone. That was a yes. The other wetland bylaw amendment, which was the exceptions from the local bylaw for public projects, was a yes. The petition article for the solar bylaw limitation down to 10 acres from Nancy McHale, that was also held off, and they said they will answer by November 25th. So that's where all that went. For people who follow town meeting and want to know where we were.
Thank you. I would just add that the 2 charter articles are with Senate Council. There were 27 not very substantive questions last week, which have been answered, so they still have it under review, but they know that we would like to get an answer on it. Mr. Slavin, you already did it, sorry. Mr. Tropiano. No,
All set. All set.
Mr. Slavin, you already did yours. Mr. Muniz, you did. Okay, the only announcements I have is that last week we were down 78 cases from the prior week in COVID. There were 56 new confirmed cases, 4 probable cases, and there were no reported deaths. 16% of the cases this week are fully vaccinated of vaccine eligible age. 76% of cases this week are not vaccinated of vaccine eligible age, and 8% of cases are partially vaccinated, again, of vaccine eligible age. And that's all I have. Let's see, citizens' comments. I don't see anyone raising their hand. Okay, I don't see anybody raising their hand, so I will move on to appointments and reappointments, Mr. Tropiano.
Board comments.
Oh, sorry, board comments, right. Mr. Muniz.
Yeah, when we were talking about a few weeks ago, the Ethics Commission, the Ethics Commission certificates. And I don't know how we stand on that and what we're going to do moving forward. And I'd like to get that cleared up. Kind of have a stopgap in there. So if we could discuss that at another time, I'd like to be able to address that. I know we have some appointments today should kind of start looking at if their certification's up to date and if they've taken exams. And if not, ask them to do so before appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Muniz, just for your information, both Mr. Conti and Mr. Semple are current on their ethics and their open meeting law.
Good.
Ms. Van Nest has not yet been appointed.
Right, and that's,
So I did
Okay.
double check that for this week, and I will put it on a future agenda for you. Thank you.
thank you.
Any other comments, Mr. Muniz?
No, I'm good, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Slavin?
Over the last 3 weeks in particular, I've been getting calls, emails, texts from different businesses, not just restaurants, but just, our, what I call our local businesses, which really are the mainstay of every community, especially in a town. Basically talking about cutting back, less days a week, shorter hours, the cost of doing business, and kind of discouraging is the number of actually considering closing. I was talking with a particular restaurant owner yesterday, asking questions about his license, liquor license, etc. And I see at Facebook today, which I don't usually look at, he announced that this would be Stevie B's or Stevie Belanger with the sports bar over at Onset Ave. Has officially announced that he'll be closing permanently, I think in early November. And he's not the only restaurant that's expressing the same problems. They're having a very difficult time. They're running shorter hours, shorter days, basically because of help, but also because of the cost of running their business. The food costs are going up, supplies, everything is difficult. And it's really hard to pass on the expense to the customer as well. So I can only ask, as I've asked before, please shop at our local businesses. They're having an extremely hard time. Christmas season is coming, but the way it looks even for the Christmas season, it's not going to save a lot of them. So if you can, I know it's hard right now for people to spend money, etc. But if you do go out or you take takeout, try and use our local restaurants and our regular local businesses for services. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tropiano?
Nope, all set.
Okay, thank you. Now we will move on to appointments and reappointments. The first one would be to the Library Board of Trustees.
Yes, Holly Van Ness, is that right?
Yep. Could you let Miss Van, she is here. Could you let her in, please, to the meeting? Holly, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry,
Thank you.
I got knocked out, so that's why it took a bit to get back here, but hello,
Thank you very much.
sure.
Is there anything that you would like to say to the board about your proposed appointment to the Library Board of Trustees, Ms. Van Nest?
Sure, before I forget, I did want to just respond to Jim Muni's. My ethics certification is not current, although I have taken it in the past for my current employment, but it's expired. But my plan is, well, I have to take it before the next library meeting, so I would expect it to be current very soon. And I've gone to 3 library meetings, and I really feel like this is to everybody, that I can be useful on this board. As I said in my application, I'm a lifelong reader and always have been supporting libraries. And I think it's a very fundamental part of a community to have a strong library. And I'd like to do whatever I can to help that along.
Thank you. We do have a recommendation from the Library Board of Trustees recommending her appointment. She has been to the 3 meetings. Any of you have any questions?
No.
Mr. Tropiano,
Nope.
would you make a motion then?
I move that we appoint Holly Van Ness to Board of Library Trustees to a term to expire June 30th, 2024.
May I have a second? Motion made by Tropiano, seconded by Titlebaum. I need a roll call. Mr. Slavin,
Yes,
Mr. Tropiano,
Yes.
Mr. Muniz,
Yes,
Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes,
myself, yes, 500. Thank you, Ms. Van Nest. The
Thank-
paperwork would be in the Selectmen's office tomorrow or Thursday for you to pick up and go to the town clerk's office to be sworn in. Thank you very
Okay,
much for volunteering. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
The next item on the agenda is Zoning Board of Appeals appointment of one associate member for a term to expire June 30th, 2022. And we have both Mr. Conti and Mr. Semple here. Would you let them in, please?
There was a Scrivener error because it's a full member, because they are associate members now. One of them is going to be elevated to a full member.
Right, but one of them needs to, the associate member needs to be approved for the 1-year term, and the full member would be for the longer term.
right, but the agenda only says
Right,
appointment of one associate, so
right, but that's all we can do. So we have both applicants here with us.
Yep.
And the Zoning Board of Appeals did finally recommend that we appoint Mr. Semple as the full member, but I will be happy to have any of you. Well, I'll have Mr. Conti address the board first. I'll give you a couple of minutes, sir. And then I'll have Mr. Semple address the board. And then I will ask each of you if you have any questions of them. And the only thing that we can do tonight is to appoint the associate member, which would be through June of 2022. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, great. Mr. Conti, would you choose to take a couple of minutes only and address the board, sir?
Sure. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair and board members. You know, I applied for this position back at the end of January for a full-time position. So should I discuss the full-time position that I'm interested in? You know, the process was outlined to me, and I assumed that I would be considered. I know at the Selectmen's agenda, I noticed that it was put on there in June that Mr. Semple was going to become a full-time member. I did question that and ask for how that decision was made. And I expected some decision, I guess, amongst the board and not a foregone conclusion. The appointment was taken off the agenda and the ZBA was asked to make a recommendation. In July, the ZBA met and the 4 members voted unanimously not to make a recommendation and to let the selectmen decide. The last meeting, it was brought up again and a vote was taken. It was voted 2 for, 1 against, and 1 abstained against for the appointment of Mr. Semple. I was invited to tonight's meeting last Thursday to discuss the appointment, and then only to receive an email on Monday advising me that the ZBA made a recommendation and my presence was not required at this meeting. So I'm here tonight to, I guess, try to understand the process. I'm interested in the full-time position. You know, I've been an associate member for over a year. I've never missed any meetings. I've taken a course writing reasonable and defendable decisions at the Citizens Planner Training Collaborative, and I plan to take more workshops. I'm on the Solar Bylaw Committee representing the ZBA. Every petition that comes through the ZBA for a variance or special permit, I review the documentation ahead of time, and I try to do a site visit to see what zoning laws are related to make the best decision for our town. So that's why I'm here, and I look forward to, I guess, a decision on the board on who becomes a full-time member. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just would like to explain a little bit of the confusion, because part of it is because the board had not, the ZBA had not made a recommendation. And because the board was, the 2 associate member terms had technically expired, but until you are replaced, you continue to serve. But there is no 5th full-time member. I apologize for the error on the posting tonight, but I think it's fair to have both you and Mr. Semple address your skills and your desires. And we we can choose not to make any appointments tonight if the board so chooses. And then we would put it on next week's agenda for one associate member and one full-time member. I hope that explains it, sir. And I apologize.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Semple, do you choose to address the board?
You have to unmute.
If you do, you have to unmute yourself and please.
Not unmuting.
I don't know.
Oh, he tried.
Okay, there you
Okay,
go.
am I there?
Yes, you're there. Thank you. Do you have video contact or not, sir?
Brian, it's really hard night on my computer.
Okay. Can you identify yourself for the record then, sir?
My name is Richard Semple.
Yep.
I'm an associate member of the ZBA, and I applied to be a member, full-time member. And I feel my qualifications with being in the building department, building field for so long, and being able to
We've lost contact with you, sir.
find it very interesting. And other than that, and not only do I find it interesting, but I also, I enjoy it. So that's about it. But I'm having a hard time with my computer here, and I don't know what's going on.
Thank you. We can hear you fine, I think. I'll go around the board. Mr. Slavin, do you have a question of either one of the two applicants, sir?
Not really of either one of the applicants, but I'm a little confused because I'm hearing that there was one vote one way, and then we get another vote recently another way. I'd like to see the ZBA come back with a final meeting and stuff with a vote so we know what's really going on.
They did. They voted 2-1-1 to recommend Mr. Semple. That's why it's back on the agenda. I took it off.
Okay, so it's 2-1-1.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Muniz, do you have any questions of either of the gentlemen, sir?
I saw Mr. Conti said he took a program, a webinar through Citizens Collaborative. And is one of the conditions as an associate member and as a full member, we ask that the membership of the committees, planning, zoning, and conservation too, I believe. The associate members to take a program from an outside agency. So Christopher Conti, Mr. Conti said he had. Mr. Semple, have you taken any outside classes or programs related to zoning or planning in the last year?
I absolutely will, but this is the first time I've heard of it. I didn't hear about any further in education. I didn't hear any webinars. I was never given any information about that, sir.
Okay, it's just part of our policies on appointments and reappointments for the adjudicatory committees.
Fine, but I didn't know, so I would have done exactly what I was told. I would have done what I was instructed. Again, nothing. I didn't have. This is the first time I heard of this.
Thank you. Mr.
And
Muniz, any other questions?
and I also been to every meeting, so I figured I would have been told or something.
Okay. Mr. Muniz, do you have any other questions of either of them?
No, that's all. I was just,
Okay,
checking.
thank you. Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum, do you have any questions of either of the two applicants? You're muted, Mr. Titlebaum. You're muted, Mr. Titlebaum.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I think it's fair to hold off until next week. I also, in looking through the packet we got, I don't see any communication about the most recent vote of the ZBA. I'd like to see that before we vote as well.
Yes, sir.
Even if the chairman just sends an email. I mean, I know it's challenging to get the minutes done, but at least something on the record to show that that's what the recommendation was.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Tropiano, do you have any comments, sir? Or questions of either one of the two individuals?
I don't, maybe I wasn't here. Maybe I missed the meeting. when we voted to require education, continuing education for these positions?
That's in the policies that we have in our policy statements and you can reach it through the selectmen's website. I
Well, I'm
would
gonna look at it because I don't remember any such vote, and I've been around for quite a while.
I know you have. I'm
I don't
surprised you don't remember,
That
but I
pol-
can provide that for you. All right?
I can go look it up myself. I don't need you to supply it. It's
I'll
just-
send it to
Excuse
everybody.
me, gentlemen, thank you.
I think it's absurd that we're gonna take volunteers and now ask them to have continuing education, okay?
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions of the either.
Niall, On that face, all you want, you can put that face on, and that's fine.
Mr. Tropiano, please.
Well,
Mrs. Whiteside,
watch
I'm
it.
so-
Excuse me, Mr. Slavin, I'm going to ask that there be a motion to postpone the appointment of either individual to either position until next week, and I will ask Mr. Escalasi to provide a current and updated vote from the ZBA with their recommendations. May I have a motion that way?
motion so made.
Thank you. May I have a second to that motion?
Second,
Motion made and seconded. I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano,
Yes,
Mr. Muniz,
yes.
Mr. Titlebaum. You are muted, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes,
And
yes.
myself, yes. So this will be on next week's agenda, presuming I get the corrected and updated vote. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Whiteside, before we go to the next piece, if you'd like to put on the agenda next week, I will pull out the different selectmen's, what we call master plan and policies about furthering education for individuals on licensing boards. For myself, when I was on the planning board, for quite a few years, we had courses every year. It was recommended, that people take it whether they're an associate member or full-time. It's been going on for me at least since 2008. Thank you.
Thank you. You could forward that information to the office, please, sir.
We'll do
Mr.
so.
Tropiano, Mr. Tropiano, may I have the licenses and permits
Okay.
recommendation?
from
or
99
application?
West LLC, DBA 99 Restaurant and Pub, 40 Rosebrook Place, Wareham, Mass, for a change of officers, directors under the provisions of MGL 138.
Okay,
And
is there, I'll take a second.
second.
Okay, second. Is there anybody here from either Upton, Connell and Devlin or from the 99 who would choose to speak? Please raise your hand. I don't recognize any of the names, but. Okay, I see nobody. The paperwork is all in order and has been gone over by me as well as the office staff. I have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion or questions? Fine. I will go for a roll call vote to approve the change in officers and directors. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano,
yes,
Mr. Muniz,
Yes,
Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes,
myself, yes, 500. Thank you. And the next thing, it says 9B, but it really is 9A. Claire Smith, sometime in the future, will be taking a trip to the town of Wareham, England. It's pronounced Wareham. And I wrote a proclamation which was sent to all of you today. Unfortunately, I didn't get it done earlier, which names her as our Goodwill Ambassador and introduces her to the town of Wareham, which is run by a mayor and a council. It also has a town meeting, but the town meeting doesn't do anything except get told what has been going on, because basically the town is run by the council and the mayor is sort of the head councilman. So you have had an opportunity to review it. A Goodwill Ambassador, the last one we named was Miss Dunham to Japan when she went. And if there are any questions or comments?
The only comment I had when I read it originally, it had two different things,
Right. And that
which you
has been
corrected.
Yes, sir.
All I'm asking is, what is our actual commitment for Mrs. Smith as far as her interaction with Wareham, England?
She will be visiting with the mayor and the council. I don't think she's here. Oh, yes, she is. Ms. Smith, do you choose to speak to Mr. Slavin's question? And if so, just raise your hand and we'll let you in the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't see you, Claire. I'm sorry.
Hi,
So, good evening, Ms. Smith. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Could you address what you will be doing as you cross the pond?
Well, 3 or 4 years ago, we had a couple that visited Wareham, Mass, who I had been in contact with since our events in 2014, the celebration of the War of 1812. So we've been in contact, and they had invited us over to visit with them. And we were supposed to go a couple of years ago before COVID hit. And so we told them that once COVID was clear in the next couple months, we would plan a trip to visit with them. They live right outside of Whereum, England. John is very good friends with the former mayor, so he reached out to them, and he is going to take us over there to introduce us to the mayor and to the council. They're going to take us on a walk around the town, and we'll get a little view of what their Whereum looks like. And then we'll spend the afternoon talking about the differences in their government and our government, just a social visit. So we're just waiting for COVID to leave and for everything to open up. And hopefully within the next month and a half, we'll be going over.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Mr. Slavin?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any questions from Ms. Smith? Does anybody, would you like to read the proclamation into the record or not?
Would you like me to do it? I've got it right up.
You're a quick reader, please.
Okay, Town of Wareham, 54 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571. A proclamation. Goodwill Ambassador Claire L. Smith. Whereas the purpose of Mrs. Smith's visit is to reconfirm our friendship with the town of Wareham, England. Whereas the town of Wareham, Massachusetts, proudly shares its name and cultural heritage with the ancient market town of Wareham, Dorset, England, and the early English settlers who landed here, some of whose descendants continue to reside here today. Whereas the towns share many similar attributes and features in geography, being bound by rivers and marshland and containing miles of walking trails and protected forest lands. Whereas the towns revere our histories through museums and buildings listed on historic registries, historic districts, and historic societies. Whereas both towns were home to industries that shaped their respective countries' history, including the Royal Mint, authorized to issue royal money, and Tremont Nail Manufacturing Company. Whereas the towns share similar histories of several wars, the growth of industries and railways, and the changes in demographics and technology. Whereas the towns share pride in their athletic teams, the Wareham Gatemen baseball team and the Wareham Rangers football team. Whereas both towns have been the setting for movies or novels. Whereas both towns are known for important historical people, including Captain John Kendrick and T.E. Lawrence. Whereas both towns have several places of worship. Whereas the towns each have retained the beauty and charm that will always keep our connection strong. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of the town of Wareham, Plymouth County, United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in us, send our Goodwill Ambassador, Claire L. Smith, to reconfirm our friendship with the town of Whereum, Dorset, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Wareham Board of Selectmen, Judith Whiteside Chair, Patrick G. Tropiano Clerk, James M. Manise, Alan H. Slavin, Peter W. Titlebaum.
And I have a motion to authorize the signing of that.
So moved.
Well made.
It's motion made by Tropiano and seconded by Slavin. I need a roll call vote, please. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Tropiano,
Absolutely.
Muniz,
Yes,
Titlebaum,
Yes.
and Whiteside. Yes. Gentlemen, could you make a haste to sign tomorrow, possibly, the piece of paper which has already been typed up and is sitting in our office? And Ms. Smith will make arrangements to pick it up when she needs it. Thank you very much. And
Thank
have
you.
fun, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we have a discussion and possible vote to approve the opt-out and reduction fee abatement recommendation number 7.
I have in front of me a recommendation from Dave Menard to approve these opt-out fees of $638.75. And I make that motion that we do approve it.
Is there a
Second,
second? Motion made by Tropiano and seconded by Titlebaum. Going to do a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes,
Tropiano,
Yes.
Muniz,
yes,
Titlebaum,
yes.
Whiteside, no. 4-0-1. Discussion and
Well, no
possible.
would be 410.
410, sorry, yep. Mr. Tropiano, the
Yeah,
revenue.
yeah. The next is the revenue for 2000. Well, it's the commitment for the FY22 curbside revenue in the amount of $1,273,760.
Excellent. Motion made to accept.
Yes.
second,
Motion made and seconded. I will go for the roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
yes,
Mr. Tropiano,
Yes.
Mr. Muniz.
I had a question on that.
Certainly.
that-
Go ahead.
We're in FY22 right now, correct?
Yes,
So are those funds just collected since July? Or is this a calendar year?
I believe it's a calendar year because that's the way that we've been billing it, sir. When we started billing, we started billing and then we billed those quarterlies. So it's not overlapping with the fiscal year of the town. So this would be the commitment from the beginning of when we started billing.
It looks like that's what it says in the note, in the letter. It says, please accept this letter as board's commitment for the FY curbside revenue in the amount of $1,273,760. So this is, I imagine this is for the when it ends in this year.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that was a yes, sir.
Sure, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes,
And myself, yes, 500 to accept. We will now have Miss Nichols join us, please, known as Jackie,
And discuss an impossible
Discuss-
vote for solar pilots.
on the Borrego Solar Pilots. Good evening, Ms. Nichols, and welcome to our meeting. Would you identify yourself for the record, please, and let us know that what you're here to do, please?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jackie Nichols, Director of Assessing. I'm here this evening. I'm coming before you this evening to record a vote to authorize Derek Sullivan to sign the 3 solar pilots approved at our last town meeting in June. These pilots were negotiated in 2020, brought before the Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen for inclusion on the town meeting warrant this past spring. The warrant article passed on June 12th, 2021. The pilot language is quite similar to those we have executed in the past. They've been on file with the town clerk's office since they were submitted for the warrant. We have now received the final pilot agreements, which have been executed by the solar developer. And I would ask that the board vote to authorize Derek Sullivan to execute the documents. The only changes that have been made from the copies that are on file with the town clerk's office are perhaps the capacity, which may have changed as a result of the permitting. And also the dates, as they were slower in the permitting process than they had initially anticipated, the dates of the actual agreement have changed as well.
Thank you. Do any of you, Mr. Slavin, do you have any questions of Ms. Nichols?
Well, first question is, what is the status of each one of the 3 projects? Have they been approved through the town? I
Yes.
understand what, all 3 projects have gone through planning, et cetera, and have been
My
approved?
understanding is that they have planning board approval and conservation approval. They do not pull their actual building permits until right before they commence construction. And that's pretty normal of how we've run in the past.
Okay, I'm not under the impression that they passed, at least one of them has passed through the system yet for the town. Any way to confirm that?
Mr. Titlebaum?
Yeah, all 3 sites, to my knowledge, were approved by the planning board and are the subject of appeals. At least one of them is 140 subject to an appeal, but that doesn't mean anything in terms of our ability to go forward with this. Again, these agreements only take effect if the thing is actually ever built and the money comes in, so.
Understand.
Thank you. Mr. Tropiano, do you have any questions?
I have no questions at all.
Thank you. Mr. Muniz, do you have any questions, sir?
Just for clarification, these are for the Borrego solar voltaic arrays located at 27 Charge Pond Road and 140 and 150.
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
move- I move-
I have no questions. Mr. Tropiano, do you have a
Yeah,
motion?
I move that we authorize Derek Sullivan to sign the agreement.
Second,
Motion made by Tropiano and seconded by Titlebaum. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Abstain.
Mr. Muniz?
Present.
Mr. Tropiano?
Yes,
Mr. Titlebaum?
yes.
Myself, yes. 3-1-1. Mr. Sullivan, when we'll be able to sign those agreements for you. Thank you very much, Ms. Nichols.
Madam Chairman, I think that would be
302.
3011.
Yeah, 3011.
3011.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 3011. Anyway, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Thanks.
We have next on the agenda, discussion and vote regarding 2 HCA amendments between the town of Wareham and Dube to reflect changes in locations. Those documents are in your packet. I don't see Ms. Kennedy. Could you let Ms. Kennedy in, please? And I don't see Mr. Buckland. So Ms. Kennedy, would you let her in, please? Good evening. How are you, Ms. Kennedy? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Could you identify yourself for the record?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Board. My name is Erica Kennedy.
Okay. And what we have before us are 2 documents, right?
Correct.
And can you explain quickly what we're just being asked to do?
Absolutely. I'm here
Thank you.
today to seek favorable action from the board to amend the site addresses in the cultivation and manufacturing host community agreements between the town of Wareham and Dube from 3 Toe Road to 10 Littlebrook Road.
And those are the 2 documents that you have in front, that you've sent to us
Correct.
through Mr. Buckland. Okay, excellent. Does Mr. Slavin, do you have any questions?
So the amendments themselves are strictly for the relocation to a different facility. The actual HCA doesn't change at all except for that. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Muniz, any questions, sir?
Do you have you have leases, executed leases for both properties?
So we have an executed lease for the 4 Recovery Road property.
Yeah.
We have a site authorization form that's executed for 10 Littlebrook, as well as a binding LOI for 10 Littlebrook.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tropiano, any questions, sir?
nope.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum, any questions, sir?
No,
And I have no questions. I'll accept a motion, please.
All right, I move that we amend the ACA agreement between Dube Inc. and the town of Wareham to change locations from 3 Tow Road to 10 Little Brook for cultivating and manufacturing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to amend the address on the 2 different host community agreements. Any further questions? I will poll the board. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Muniz,
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano,
Yes,
Titlebaum,
Yes.
myself, yes, so it is 500. Thank you very much. And the authorized agent will be able to sign that within the next couple of days.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you for,
Bye-bye.
bye. There's a ratification for Morgan Mattioli. Mr. Titlebaum, Mr. Tropiano.
yes, there it is. Get it, hold on a second because yeah, well, it didn't get printed, but I know what it is anyway. I move we ratify the hiring of Morgan Mattioli to the natural resource natural resource officers for the DNR.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. I will go for a roll call vote, please. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano,
Yes,
Mr. Muniz,
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum. Mr. Titlebaum, you're muted. Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes.
thank you, and myself, yes, 500. Thank you. And we only have one item that we would vote on tonight for the town meeting warrant, and that would be that there's a, I have the number right here. It would be the commitment for the PEG access receipts. Mr. Sullivan sent that information to us today. It would be the receipt of $126,258.29.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Favor.
Mr. Titlebaum, you're muted, so I can't hear you.
All right, I'm tickling my throat, so I keep trying to shut it off so I don't disrupt the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Motion made and seconded, made by Slavin, seconded by Titlebaum. Roll call vote, Mr. Slavin.
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano.
yes, but it says we voted it, so we'll go by. It says 400.
I
No,
was
we
to put it
voted
on
to
the
put it
warrant. This
on the
is to
warrant.
recommend.
This is to recommend, sir.
Sorry, I didn't hear you say recommend.
I'm sorry. It is to recommend
Okay.
to the town meeting body. Mr.
Okay.
Muniz,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes.
And myself, yes, 500 for a positive recommendation. There are no other things that we would be talking about tonight. Town administrator does not have a report that he forwarded to me, so I will go to liaison and initiative reports. Mr. Muniz.
The solar bylaw committee will be meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I believe, in Town Hall, room 27. So anybody interested in seeing what's going on, that's when it's happening. Check the calendar on the town meeting on the town website to be sure. Planning board met last night, I guess, and zoning meets tomorrow. A lot of solar going on. People still having discussion about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muniz. Mr. Slavin.
Little scarce this week because I was tied up. The Plymouth County actually had a special meeting for all the members of the Plymouth County Advisory Board. I chair that particular committee, which doesn't really mean much. The bottom line is that there's a couple of things. I sent everybody notice of what happened, but we have what they call a rollout of phase 7. Phase 7 is strictly an additional rollout of money that Plymouth County rejected some of the state charges against the monies coming to the county. And those monies now are going to the municipalities in Plymouth County. I believe Wareham's going to get an additional $90,000 or $100,000 to use for COVID, which is the CARES Act. The total amount of CARES Act money available to the town of Wareham through the county, which shows how well they're doing, is $3.5 million, which is a substantial amount of money. I believe we're working right now on air conditioning the town hall, which follows under the COVID requirements for air quality control, et cetera. And there's just a bunch of different things we're doing. I don't think we've hit the 3.5 number, but between Derek and Patrick McDonald, we're getting there. There are some communities that are $1 or $2 million short of their allowance, and it's a shame to give it back to the government, basically. The other big thing is, and Derek will be informed, and John Foster, on probably between today and Thursday, the ARPA program, they decided to go ahead and duplicate the CARES Act program of the county. They put it together. It's kind of funny. They're using Powers and Sullivan as an auditing firm for themselves as well, which is interesting to see. The bottom line is that starting on Thursday, there'll be a website, which is basically Plymouth County ARPA.com. What they've done is they put a complete program together with another firm, which basically allows you to apply. It gives you forms. It explains the 3 major areas plus 3 others that you can apply for monies. And it goes through the whole thing. You can submit it and it tells you whether it's accepted or not. If it's rejected because it doesn't qualify, it tells you right away. But if it's rejected because you made some mistakes in the forms, it sends it back to you. So the Plymouth County with Tom O'Brien and his staff will be working with it as well. This is just another excellent use of the county, which are kind of surprising because some people think county government doesn't work. In this case here, county government did a tremendous job. So we're getting a second shot of funds coming in. And again, there's 6 areas that we can actually apply for. And I'm looking forward to what Derek and John Foster can do with this. And I think that's all I really have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum? You're muted and shaking your head. Excellent. Mr. Tropiano?
Nope, all set.
Okay, I have a couple. I attended the latest library Board of Trustees meeting, which they tried to have on a hybrid session. It did not work. I was a member of the audience, as was one of the trustees not present in the room, but by the Zoom. Neither one of us could hear anything. And so I would caution people, and I talked with the chair of the library trustees, but I would caution people to make sure that if you are doing a hybrid meeting, that your audience can in fact hear you and can in fact participate, because that was not the case. I also attended the Board of Health very controversial meeting where the suggestion for mandatory vaccines came up. The meeting was very well represented by members of all of the unions in town. The board did not make any decisions, but it was pretty clear that while there certainly is a need for people to be vaccinated, it is, in my opinion, their choice. And in order for it to be a mandate, it would have to be a union negotiation, in my opinion, and I'm not an attorney, but anyway, we won't go there. That's all I have. Do we have just?
Excuse me, Chairman Whiteside?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to make a correction. There's no ZBA meeting tomorrow. It's the next week. I wanted to be sure that I said that.
Okay, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't know that I indicated that. Okay,
No,
so it'll have to be put off. Okay, it'll have to be put off for 2 weeks then.
No. There's no, I had said there was a ZBA meeting tomorrow, I believe. There is not.
Right, so in order
No,
for
I'm
us to
just
get.
saying, it was a mistake that I said that.
Okay,
We weren't scheduled for it, and
Okay.
I was in error. And you just
Okay.
spoke about the hybrid meetings.
yes,
Planning has been trying that. It was okay last night. A couple of people, there was some feedback issues just from two of the speakers. It's difficult with the masks sometimes.
Yep.
So I just wanted to let you know. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We have minutes for September 14th, 2021.
Yeah, we do, and Alan was not here. So I move we approve the minutes of September 14th, 2021 of a regular Board of Selectmen meeting.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Muniz,
Yes.
Tropiano,
Yes,
Titlebaum,
yes.
Slavin,
Abstain.
and myself. Yes, so 4-0-1. We are now going to be going into executive session for reason number 6. And in order to do that, I need to tell you that we will be adjourning from the executive session. So I would ask WCTV to remove all of the attendees. And I will ask that the board and Mr. Bowen put themselves onto mute until that has been done. Thank you.